Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, has commissioned $500 billion to one of the most ambitious architectural projects in all of human history. They call it the Neom. What is the Neom, and why is the project doomed to fail? Let's find out. As part of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, the Neom would be the first cognitive and smart city in the world, and it's being built in Saudi Arabia. The centrepiece of the Vision 2030 is Neom, a 26,000 square kilometre city constructed on the Red Sea coast. So Neom will boast of miles of Red Sea shoreline because it will be situated on the edge of one of the busiest shipping routes in the world and could one day be connected to Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh by a causeway. It will only be 50 kilometres or 30 miles from the Jordanian port of Aqaba, and it will only be a shorter hop to Eilat from there, giving the smart city the greatest commercial and geographical advantage in the Middle East. Neom is targeted at the cosmopolitan elite, so it will have its own tax structure and operate under progressive legislation that are consistent with global standards and supportive of economic growth. Neom will be a separate economic region with its own set of laws and regulations and independence from the rest of the nation. Another way to put it is that it will be mostly free from the representative Wahhabi Islamic regulations that govern life in the rest of the kingdom. So we're saying in a sense that Neom would be what Hong Kong was to China. The Saudi Arabian government, through its Public Investment Fund or PIF, is funding the Neom project. The development of Neom and other projects aimed at diversifying the Saudi economy will be supported by the PIF's commitment to invest more than $500 billion over the following 10 years. Some parts of the city are projected to be operational as early as 2023, and the project's initial phase is anticipated to be finished by 2025. It will likely take several decades for Neom to reach its full potential. The focal point of development is the Line, a 170-kilometre long ruler-straight metropolitan corridor that runs across the southern section of Neom. And according to Mohammed bin Salman, the hyper-developed line won't have any roads or automobiles and will run entirely on renewable energy, with its vertical structure conserving 95% of its natural surrounds. The projected cross-border metropolis of Neom in northwest Saudi Arabia aspires to generate a new paradigm for sustainable living and economic growth. What cutting-edge technologies does Neom intend to implement? Neom intends to use a number of cutting-edge technologies, including systems for automated transportation, contemporary energy technologies, robotic and artificial intelligence, ingenious infrastructure, and vertical farming. With the help of these technologies, Neom hopes to become a haven for sustainable and creative living, while also luring capital and talent from all over the world. Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince, has worked to modernise and diversify the Arab nation. He developed the Vision 2030 plan, which calls for restructuring the Saudi Arabian economy and reducing its reliance on oil output. Neom seeks to diversify Saudi Arabia's economy and lessen its dependence on oil. Its main goals are to draw in foreign investment and establish itself as a centre of innovation and technology. Modern airports, a seaport, numerous tourist attractions and industries will all be present in the metropolis. The goal of all the proposals is to draw companies from the biotech, advanced manufacturing, mobility and construction industries. MBS claims that the project will spark a civilization revolution that puts humans first. Some think Neom has what it takes to make the nation an economic powerhouse. Does it? However, things might not be as wonderful as they seem. Despite all the sentiment, the city's future is undoubtedly grim. If you dig deeper, Neom and the entirety of Vision 2030 may be more problematic than beneficial, despite their initial appearance as thrilling. The Saudi government's top-down approach to push the economy in a particular direction appears to be how the entire vision operates. But is it succeeding in accomplishing that? We regret not. Already there are indications that should cause the Saudis to stop. The level of foreign direct investment, which is crucial for long-term NEOM financing, is at a 14-year low. It decreased from $7.5 billion the year before to $1.4 billion in 2017. In February 2023, Saudi Arabia's industrial production increased by 6%, compared to the same month the previous year, slowing from a 6.8% increase. Although Saudi Arabia increased its oil production from over $11 million a day in previous months to over 10 million barrels a day, the most recent reading indicated the weakest pace in industrial output since August 2021. Production slowed for manufacturing activity, 16.8%, compared to the previous reading of 19.2%. Mining and quarrying also stalled to 2.2% from 3%. Industrial production was unchanged from January's monthly reading of 0.1% in February. According to the Central Department of Statistics and Information, Saudi Arabia's trade surplus narrowed to 38 billion riyals in January 2023, the smallest since June 2021, from 55.7 billion riyals in the same period last year, as exports fell slightly while imports surged. Exports declined by 2.8% to 105 billion riyals, the lowest since September 2021. Oil sales decreased by 1.7% to 82.1 billion riyals, the lowest since December 2021. And non-oil sales went down by 13.4% to 17.7 billion riyals, the lowest since April 2021. It is not necessary to be an expert in finance to be horrified by this glaring decline in investment. Yet, that is exactly what it's taking on. According to UCLA Professor of Modern Middle Eastern History, James Gelvin, NEOM is the Saudi government's Hail Mary pass. The Saudi royal family seems to be feeling insecure, he claimed. The decline in oil prices between 2014 and 2016 is one factor. Although it is now increasing, Saudi Arabia's capacity to rely on oil revenue in the long run is now in doubt due to the resource's restricted amounts. And they're betting on ambitious infrastructure as the new tourist attraction. According to Gelvin, the economic prospects for young people in Saudi Arabia, where more than half the population is under 25, are bleak. In particular, at a time when the future of oil is uncertain, there must be revitalisation, said Gelvin. There are not enough jobs for them, the education system is not very good, and there has to be revitalisation. In the end, Saudi Arabia lacks the necessary infrastructure to transition to a market economy, making NEOM's ambitious aims seem unreachable. According to Gelvin, on top of that, corruption is already legendary in Saudi Arabia. The government controls 80% of the country's economy and generates the majority of its income from oil. Concerns exist over the residents of the project's right to privacy. No, we are not discussing actual objects here. NEOM is marketed as a cognitive city that will gather enormous amounts of information on its citizens and feed that information into computer systems that will anticipate and meet their every need. The goal is to minimise daily hassles by connecting people and things as much as feasible. As a result, important time and energy will be saved, and a high standard of service maintenance and accessibility will be guaranteed. According to Joseph Bradley, the project sector's leader for technology and digital, NEOM will use more than 90% of the data to change how people work, live and play. However, even when they are not run by an autocratic state that is not known for tolerating dissent, large-scale data-gathering initiatives tend to make people sceptical, and for good reason. There's Jamal Khashoggi. MBS acknowledges the need to move away from the status quo of the economy, but development calls for more than just a tax regulatory framework with tax incentives. Business environments must support official and informal institutions that promote growth. And Saudi Arabia gravely lacks this. NEOM's state-driven design also makes it susceptible to underperformance. MBS cannot simply carve out some property in a beautiful location and declare that we are open for business. Instead, it must address decades of institutional path dependence, history, and fundamental economic reality. To bring that to fruition, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia would have to fully transition to an unregulated market economy that would allow for more foreign direct investments in the largest economy in the Arabian Peninsula, especially as we transition to a post-oil world. But for people to truly prosper, they have to be masters of their fate and have their inalienable rights recognised by the government. This would require the dismantling of the oppressive theocracy and fully embracing democracy, which is highly unlikely. Vision 2030 will require much more than just building elaborate structures and cities. Is it possible for Saudi Arabia to end its reliance on oil? Can innovatives like Neom change the kingdom's economy? Is the ruling family willing to give up their power to have a free economy? Tell us what you think in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time. Bye for now.